Biden or the White House staff put a lid on the White House news at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. because they got a late dusting in D.C. And I know they can't handle any kind of snow in Washington, but still, I mean, a lid at 8 o'clock in the morning. What if Trump had ever done that?
Did Trump ever call any lids?
No, I don't believe he ever did. You know, even when he was in the hospital last year, Grace, for COVID-19. I mean, he still, remember he came out and he waved to the crowd.
Yeah, and then he did the.
He went on Fox.
Yeah, he did. He
was working in the hospital.
He did a video in the hospital. Yeah, in the wing of the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah. So today, Biden delivered a virtual address to the G7 group of nations. It was a modified apology tour, like Obama did in 2009. He said there's been a lot of stress and tension in the transatlantic alliance, meaning Trump told them you have to pay your NATO dues. You tell people to pay money they owe you. I mean, it sometimes causes stress and tension, right?
It gets awkward. And we're sorry for the awkwardness.
Yes.
You know what I say to Joe Biden, Howie?
What?
Don't tell me you're sorry, Joe. I know how sorry you are.
You're stealing my old country lines.
I'm stealing your one-liners. All right, you ready for Grace's news, Howie?
Yes.
We might as well stick with Joe Biden. Did you hear?
One last thing. Jay from Chelsea just reminded me of this. Guests of the Howie Carr show in the news. Did you see this, Grace?
What?
Johnny Damon was arrested early this morning in Orlando. Florida man Johnny Damon for driving 2.5 times over the legal limit.
Yeah, the mugshot was quite something.
He was sober the day he was on my show a few years back.
I didn't even know he was on your show.
Yeah, he stopped in. He was on the also ran sports station, Radio Shillville, and then he stopped over on his way out the door.
Did you try to get him to go into politics?
No.
Really? My favorite story about Howie when he worked with all the jock sniffers, as he likes to call them, is how they would bring around athletes all the time, like these big time athletes, and Howie was never starstruck. And then the one time they brought in Cousin Brucey, Howie was like, "Is that Cousin Brucey?" And all the guys were like, "You're a weird dude." I mean, the things that get you pumped up. All right. But speaking of Joe Biden, he's finally acknowledging the reality that his $15 minimum wage proposal is not going to happen, at least not through reconciliation.
Now, if he'll only close the borders and stop the destruction of women's sports and reopen the Keystone XL pipeline, maybe we'll be off to a second better start of his administration.
Well, this is the funniest part about it, is that when he said the $15 minimum wage, which is like Bernie Sanders and all the Bernie bros, that is their main thing. He said by 2025. So how duped do these people feel that he's not even attempting to accomplish it within his first term?
And another thing, Grace, now that you mention it this week, remember, we've talked about this, but at the town hall the other night, he said he's not going to do the $50,000 student loan debt forgiveness either. They're very angry about that.
The community theater marketing director asked him, "What are you going to do about student loans?" And she said, "We need to raise it past $10,000. And he said, "I'm not going to do that." Mm-hmm.
He's also opposed to free weed, too. He's going to reduce the prices, but he's opposed to actually giving it away. 917 says that while he was at while Biden was addressing the G7 meeting today, every time somebody said G7, he would, you know what he would yell out? What? Bingo!
Yeah, so Biden reportedly acknowledged his $15 minimum wage hike is likely to go nowhere. This is the quote that Politico got from a source in the room. "I really want this in there, but it just doesn't look like we can do it because of reconciliation. I'm not going to give up, but right now we have to prepare for this not making it."
I'm very sorry, but there are a couple of sane Democrats out there, and they're going to stop me from killing another 2 million jobs. Can you believe it? We've got to do something about it. We've got to. Come on, man. This is no malarkey.
Speaking of Democrats, Howie, did you hear about Chuck Schumer's flip-flop?
What's the latest? He loves Iran?
Schumer changes his tune on Puerto Rico statehood.
Really?
Yeah, they're not happy about this. Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer changed his tune on Puerto Rico in a statement this week after endorsing the idea just 4 months ago. I don't agree with them. I'm not going to support their statehood bill, Schumer referring to Democrat Rep. Richie Torres' efforts.
But don't you think, a lot of people have mentioned this, that, Puerto Rico has a very sweet deal, with getting a lot of, they're eligible for all kinds of aids and not to mention that have to pay much higher taxes if they were actually a state. That they're probably better basically being a ward of the other states rather than being the 51st state.
Well, they took a vote and 52% of Puerto Ricans voted yes on a 2020 Puerto Rico statehood referendum, while 48% voted no. So it was close. It wasn't like it was an overwhelming amount voted yes. And Schumer said he reportedly said it didn't reflect a strong consensus. And the chairman of the Democratic Party of Puerto Rico blasted Schumer over the flip-flop. He said, you can't ask the people of Puerto Rico to vote and then ignore what they democratically decide with their ballots.
Well, we do that all the time in Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, the TCI. Just make you vote.
Look at the death penalty, graduated income tax, marijuana legalization with a 12.5% tax. I mean, why is it different in the U.S. Congress than it is in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts?
Exactly. Guys, Grace's News is brought to you by Toyota of Portsmouth, the house of value. I have an update on this because I was thinking about it. And a lot of these showrooms that you go to, a lot of them are outside, Howie. And you got to go out and stand in the freezing cold. Toyota has 2 massive showrooms at Toyota of Portsmouth. And they're all inside. They're sparkling clean. The staff is so friendly. They will not pressure you. Whatever you want, whatever kind of car you're looking for, they can help you get it. And that's the best part, is that it's mostly inside right now. And I know how you wouldn't understand this, but it's kind of cold here right now, and it's snowing. They're located just south of the Portsmouth traffic circle off 95. Go to toyotaportsmouth.com or visit them at the showroom and tell them I sent you.
You know who I just called? Speaking of being down here in sunny South Florida.
Who's that?
I just called Franny Joyce, Zip Connolly's new landlord, the guy who used to run the MCCA. He was the tin whistle player in the band for Billy Bulger. I called him and left him a message saying, can you get back to me? I want to do a column on how, you guys are settling into your new digs in Pompano Beach. It's going to be a nice weekend down here. I'm sure Zip and Franny Joyce are going to have a good time thinking about the good old days with Whitey and Billy.
I think I'm one of the only people in Massachusetts who gets a call from Howie Carr and doesn't immediately groan. It doesn't just roll my eyes into the back of my head and go, oh God.
Yeah, I said that I thought I was very pleasant to Franny leaving the voice message, but I haven't heard back from him.
Oh, you're pleasant. You're just a pain, but you're pleasant. For these guys, I mean, you're just a complete pain for them.
By pleasant, he just means he leaves a voicemail and he's smiling the whole time.
I am
chuckling, giggling to himself. Howie, but that's part of your charm, is that you've never lost your local flair. You love these stories. And a side note, Howie, before I go here, Chicago mayor, the face of Chicago?
Lori
Lightfoot.
Lori Lightfoot.
I gotta say.
Lori Lightweight.
I know they say politics makes strange bedfellows, but I keep reading headlines where I agree with Lori Lightfoot, and I have to check my temperature and make sure I'm feeling okay. She's being chastised for spending $281 million of the federal COVID relief on police.
How dare you?
People are very mad. She's facing backlash.
Has Jussie Smollett been reached for comment?
After she spent $281 million in federal COVID relief on funding the Chicago Police Department personnel costs. Details on the spending were released Wednesday, while the mayor sought city council approval to send nearly $65 million in unused federal coronavirus relief money into the 2021 budget. Local officials and activists voiced consternation that police received an influx of monies.
Good.
Yeah. And lastly, Howie, before I leave, I will be back for Police Water Facts, by the way, but an alarming rise in alcohol abuse during the COVID pandemic. Not that this is going to surprise anyone, but I think it doesn't hurt to drill down on this a little bit more.
Look at Johnny Damon.
That's right.
Good point, Taylor.
That's right. You know what? When he was on the show, Taylor, I should have told him. Another one of my old country song favorites that Grace Grace probably steals from me every once in a while. Drinking doubles. Don't make a party. Johnny.
I steal all these. Half my show is just saying, you know what Howie always says. By the way, guys, I'm going to the Fallensby Inn this weekend for my listener getaway. And I talked to Dennis this morning, and 2 people had to cancel. He didn't have any openings yesterday, but 2 people had to cancel because of the weather. So now they have 2 rooms open. One has a queen bed and one has a king bed. So if you want to come this weekend, we're going to have so much fun snowshoeing, drinking cocktails by the fire. We got a big New Orleans dinner planned.
If Ted Cruz comes, can he bring Snowflake?
He can bring Snowflake. You poor Snowflake, that picture, the dog just looking out the door. It's so ridiculous. And someone put it really well. They said, when these people want to drill down on something, they will go to the ends of the earth. Like those reporters, they're real old school reporters, Howie, when it comes to finding out about the poodle, the Bichon Frise. That's how the tweet described it. They're all Woodwards in the making when it comes to Ted Cruz's dogs.
Yes, exactly. All right, Grace, I'll see you in a while with Police Blotter Facts Friday.
Thank you, sir.
Great news. The Gen 40 heater is back. Here it is. I'm holding it up right now, bringing it onto camera and social media, and just in time for really cold temperatures. Oil prices are going to go up. They are going up. I just got a text. The guy says the gas prices now, since Biden took over, are up 60 cents per gallon. The Keystone XL pipeline has been stopped. 35 million gallons of oil a day are going to China instead of to the U.S. Now there's a new moratorium on fracking on federal land. That means there's no natural gas to back up the frozen wind turbines in Texas and elsewhere. It's been 10 degrees in parts of New England for what it seems like weeks now. You need to start planning for higher energy prices. That means you need the Gen 40 heater. Robert from the Cape says the Gen 40 performs like no other heater I've ever used. It is remarkable. Taylor knows this. He stole mine.
I stole yours, and come to find out, the Eden Pure heaters have been in use in the Cormier family for several generations now, and the Gen 40 capitalizes on all the successes of their other heaters, and it's the best. It's so easy to use, it's sleek, it's stylish, it's light and portable, and it works. That's the most important thing. It works, and no matter where you put it in your house, you're going to be warm and comfortable.
And if Ted Cruz had one in Houston, Snowflake would have been much more comfortable these last couple of days. The Eden Pure Gen 40 makes you feel warmer than your furnace, and it also costs less to run. You may be working from home now, and you will need to pay close attention to the heating bills. The Eden Pure Gen 40 will pay for itself in a matter of weeks. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word HowieDeal to get $50 off the sale price. That's EdenPure.com and use code word HowieDeal for an extra $50 off. These heaters are in high demand, so go right now to EdenPure.com. I'm Howie Carr.
They call him the Trash Man, but we'll call him Captain Howie Carr.